Hi there. Today, sample library subscriptions and more. The more relates to other subscriptions like DAWs and other software. I didn't want this to be a rant, but maybe it is. If you don't know, I love movies, and I always have. It's part of the reason I love composing film music. I want to start with a movie analogy, and the movie is Repo Man. I'm talking about the movie from 2010, and not the cult classic from 1984, although I wouldn't be surprised if the 2010 movie eventually becomes a cult classic. The storyline is that a few years from now, artificial organs have been invented. Heart, spleen, liver, kidneys. If you have a failing body part, you can buy an artificial replacement, but these body parts are expensive. What if you can't afford one? It doesn't seem fair. The ads tell you you deserve that body part. No problem. You can buy them on credit. It's like leasing a car. Now you are healthy again, living life to the fullest, and little Jimmy loves playing catch in the front yard with Dad. But what happens if you lose your job or otherwise fall on hard times and you can't make a payment? Once again, no problem. Don't worry. That's where the repo men come in. After a 3-month grace period, they will come to your house in the middle of the night and rip that organ right out of you. So what happens to you now? If in doubt, watch the movie. You should watch the movie anyway. It's a cool movie. Let's look at sample/synth plugin library subscriptions. For a mere $20 a month, you get a company's entire library at your disposal. That's right. For only $20, everything, or at least everything they have. All you have to do is get 4 or 5 of these subscriptions from different companies, and you have an entire battalion of sounds at your disposal, equal to the pros. It's only costing you $100 a month, also known as $1,200 a year or $12,000 over a decade. You do still plan to be doing this 10 years from now, right? And it will probably be more than $12,000 over those 10 years because prices will eventually go up. You may even feel trapped because all your music is based on the libraries you are renting. So you have to continue to pay. It's very much like buying a heart on credit. The only difference is that they don't need repo men. They just inactivate your subscription with a couple of button presses and you're dead. After a year of paying, you'll own nothing. After 10 years of paying, you'll still own nothing. I don't doubt that some folks are rendering MIDI tracks to audio to ensure they can still call up working copies of a cue or a song. But without the sample libraries, they will have lost a lot of flexibility to revise their compositions. It's also a lot of extra work to perform that rendering. Let's address the 10-ton elephant in the room, specifically my room. I can see the comments. Easy for you to say, Jeffy, with over a dozen hardware synths and a ton of sample libraries. Some of us are struggling and we need the access so we can make great music. Great sounds help, but you don't need great sounds to make great music. Also, it took decades for me to acquire all this junk. Building up all this junk over time was an important and valuable experience. It taught me how to make the most of what I had when I had very little. And you shouldn't underestimate that value, especially towards your creativity. Moving on. If you can't tell, I'm not a fan of subscriptions. I think they are great for companies and parasitic on musicians. My belief is that musicians are better served by waiting to make that purchase when they can afford it and build up a library of products they own. I have no issue with, say, a 1-month subscription to a company to test drive their products for determining what would be worth buying and what would not. Watch my video episode on sample library purchase remorse, which is related to this. It's an important issue. Not every product in their catalog is going to be a product you'll like. If you are valuing the subscription based on the entire catalog and you only like or use a few of their products, where's the value? It's better to save and buy the products you like when you can afford them. I didn't want to single out any companies, but I'm going to mention a few. And here is the first one, because they have a model that works for me. And that company is East West. What I do like about East West and their sample libraries is that they offer both a subscription service and a purchase service. You have a choice, and hopefully that will continue to be true. Obviously, companies that offer purchases have my gratitude, but I realize there are some folks that like this subscription model. I believe for companies that offer DAWs, sample libraries, and other plugins, it's probably best for them to offer both a subscription service and a purchase option. Some people are simply not going to subscribe, and if you're a company, why would you want to lose that revenue stream? Let's look at DAWs, because this is a scary area. Fairly recently, Steinberg Yamaha let users know that they were moving away from using a dongle. This was circa late 2021. Panic erupted in their user base, as I believe a lot of users felt like they were preparing to go to a subscription-only model. A subscription model for a DAW is different than, say, a sample library. If I buy the sample library, it's good forever. If I buy the DAW and then it moves to a newer version, I can consider upgrading. With a subscription service, I'm forced to upgrade and continue to pay. Perhaps using an older version of the software is an option, but I still have to maintain my subscription. Cubase users were notified by Steinberg Yamaha, and it basically boils down to this. They had no immediate plans to move to a subscription service, but that obviously doesn't preclude it from happening in the future, and you know they had to have been considering it. They also said that they had no plans to stop selling their existing software. That is a highly qualified statement, so that just relates to existing software, and the next version is not existing software. This was on their user chat website, and while it might have looked like an employee from Steinberg was casually providing some reassuring words, it certainly appears that the language was carefully crafted because there are a lot of weasel words. I'm still using Cubase 11. When this came out, it froze me. I would like to upgrade to the latest version, but frankly, I'm concerned. Even after several years, and I know I'm not the only one. I want to have some control over what I buy and how I spend my money, and getting trapped in a subscription money pit is concerning to me. I can effectively use Cubase 11 for the rest of my life because I own it. Native Instruments is another company that offers a very attractive purchase model, and I thank them for that. I'm pretty sure it's still this way. If I'm wrong, you can correct me in the comments. You can use a version of Complete for years as newer versions come out. And then 3 versions from now, you can upgrade for close to or the same price as everyone else. Some people might say, that doesn't sound fair that you can upgrade for the same price, but I believe it is. The person that has been upgrading with each new version is getting the benefit of the latest upgrades in each version. New libraries, new expansions, new effects that they can use immediately. A person who hasn't upgraded for 3 versions didn't get those benefits until now. I really love this approach by NI. As an example, for me, when Complete is upgraded to a new version, it might have 3 or 4 new instruments and several dozen new expansions and plugins. But perhaps only a few or even none of them are compelling to me. After it has been upgraded a few more times, it may now have enough new content to be attractive for my type of use. So I'll probably upgrade. I wish other companies would do this because it's a smart model. It keeps the upgrade path attractive and not prohibitively expensive. I'll bet NI knows this and hopes other companies won't adopt this approach. Occasionally, and in the past, I've seen companies waive the requirement to have the last software version in order to upgrade to the newest version at the lower price. They do this to get people stuck or happy with older versions to upgrade. It generates revenue they probably otherwise would not have got. Obviously, it only applies to purchases and not subscriptions. As a converse example, Steinberg Yamaha doesn't follow this model. If you're upgrading Cubase from the last version to the newest version, it is a lower price than upgrading from 3 versions ago to the latest version. I have a feeling that this causes a lot of Cubase owners to stay with older versions, and I personally know some people that have done so. For many people, paying for 100 new features when they are only going to use one simply isn't worth it. I hate having recurring costs each month that eat up my paycheck. Some are unavoidable, like electricity, a cell phone plan, and health insurance. If, however, I have the option to buy something one time and own it, especially an orchestral sample library that is not going to be updated with a version 2, 3, 4, 5, then that's my preference. Generally, a sample library is sold and free fixes are provided, but it isn't upgraded. This has been my experience with companies like Spitfire Audio, and I think it says a lot when companies like Spitfire continue to fix small issues with their sample libraries like they do. I have a library from a different big name company, and some of the bad samples in it irk me, and they told me in an email they weren't going to fix it. The recording session is done, and it would just be too expensive to go back. I'm putting manufacturers on notice. If you only offer your product as a subscription, I'm only going to go with the manufacturer that still allows me to buy the product outright at a fair price and upgrade it when I want to do so. The company providing subscription-only products won't care. They've only lost one sale. This is also true for other subscriptions like Adobe's Creative Suite. I purchased Adobe CS4 years ago for something like $2,400. Then they moved to a subscription-only model and left me out in the cold with no upgrade path other than purchasing a subscription. I'm sure that some of you are subscription folks and you love it, and some are not. Feel free to comment and watch the movie Repo Man. It's a quirky movie and I love it. It's also a perfect analogy to what I've been rattling on about here. Hopefully I haven't wasted your time. Take care, and I'll be back in another episode soon.